Today we have some excellent human beings to help with our presentation. In order of appearance, we have Ann Bollinger, CFO of Scenic Stays 30A. We also have Joan Pilar, President of Pyramid Peak Properties. And lastly, we have Clint Skidmore, one of our fearless leaders, accounting guru and COO of LMPM. Before we proceed, we just wanted to take a minute to do a quick survey question to get some feedback from our audience. And this will help inform kind of the flow of where this presentation will go. So if you can, take a moment to best describe your current accounting month-end process. Which of the following options would you use? Option A, optimized and efficient, no room for improvement. Option B, it works, but it's very time-consuming and labor-intensive. And option C, unorganized and relies heavily on third-party services. We'll give everybody another 10 seconds before we continue. So interesting results so far. 2 people, or 10% of the audience, said they have an optimized and very efficient process. 76% said they have a process that works, is very time consuming and labor intensive. And 14% they feel like their process is unorganized and relies too heavily on outside services. Thank you, everyone. And with that, we'll introduce Ann Bollinger, CFO of Scenic Stays. Could you take a moment to tell everyone who you are? You're on mute, Ann.
That it always helps when you're can hear me. Scenic Stays began in 2018, and in 2020 I joined the company, and we have grown from about 50 properties to about 290, 300, something like that right now. So we're growing rapidly. We started with LMPM last October, and it's been a wonderful improvement over what we were using before. My personal background, I am an accountant. I had a CPA firm, which I sold a long time ago, 2007, and started working in the vacation rental business with another company. And in 2020, I left there and joined Scenic Stays. So I've been on the back end in the accounting world for vacation rentals and with associations, the condominiums that many vacation rentals belong to.
Excellent. Thank you, Ann. Appreciate that. And next up, we have Joan Pilar out of Pyramid Peak Properties in Kirkwood, California. Hey, Joan.
Hello. How is everybody? I just want to say I'm Joan Pilar, the president of Pyramid Peak Properties, and we service the Lake Tahoe area, Fallen Leaf Lake, and Kirkwood Ski Resort. So we manage about 60 to 65 properties, and been in business for 10 years, little plus 10 years. We came to LMPM this January and went live in February. That's how quickly it happened. The reason we switched from our software company that we'd been using since 2009 was to have an affordable and a personal support structure. And we found that in LMPM. Our previous software company had sold out to a larger company, and that personal attention was lacking.
Excellent. Thank you, Joan. And then before we dive into the the thick of it, let's have one final poll question for the audience. Which of the following areas would you most like to improve your accounting efficiency? Option A, vendors and bills. Option B, payments to owners. Option C, reconciliation, or option D, month end. Let's give it another 10 seconds. And what do we got? 20% of the audience is interested in improving their vendor and bill process or tools. 12% want to be more efficient in regards to payments to their owners. 27% would like to have a better process for reconciliation. And 42%, an overwhelming majority there, are really interested into how to streamline their month-end process. So thank you everyone for that. And then without further ado, we will kick it over to Clint Skidmore, our COO. Amazing human being. I've learned a lot from Clint since I've been with LMPM in the last 18 months. I learn from him every day. Our clients learn from him every day, and we're really, really lucky to have him at the helm of this business. So without further ado, I'll stop sharing and you can take over, Clint.
All right, thank you, Sean, and welcome everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. And I really do love talking about accounting and learning and finding ways to help people in this industry. It was just interesting looking at that first poll that most people found, you know, they can get the month end done, but there's a lot of time and effort required to achieve that. So I hope I can provide some tips and some takeaways and maybe shed some new ideas or even provoke some thought on how you can improve your accounting. All right, so you can see my screen here. All right, so obviously we are going to be discussing trust accounting for property management today. And as you can see from my first slide, maybe calling accounting fun is a stretch for most people, but does it really need to be painful? I'm going to go over some strategies to speed things up, taking less of your time while increasing efficiency. My philosophy is that keeping your accounting system simple using a process-driven methodology will save you time, save you money, increase the value of your work, and increase the benefits of your efforts. Simplifying the process does not mean, you know, a reduction in reporting metrics or cutting out important data steps. It means we can find ways to reduce the pain and reduce that, you know, complex labor-intensive part of accounting. All right. So, trust accounting. These words really do scare a lot of people, and I've seen it. And I will admit I was a little underestimated when I first joined this venture a few years back, that how scary these words are to a lot of people. And those of you who are a lot braver and are not scared from it, it often frustrates you. So when people think of trust accounting, they think of extra work, complicated processes, regulations, all the things that can take the fun out of running a property management business. But it does not have to be that way. To really utilize a process-driven trust accounting system, a clear understanding of trust accounting is needed. You need to know the difference between trust accounting and operational accounting, kind of like church and state. This is easier said than done since rules, requirements, or taxes can vary from state to state and very often from county to county. Knowing the difference is key. Knowing the difference between trust accounting and operational accounting. Confusing them even a little or even a few blurred lines can be detrimental. Accounting needs to be precise. When the two systems work in tandem, it can be awesome. You need to find a property management system that helps you define your process. You need to find a property management system that helps direct your process. A properly run trust accounting system makes your overall accounting easier. Yes, easier, along with these horrible side effects such as peace of mind, increased confidence in the exact financial position of your company, and less stress. And I think everyone on this call really would like to have some of those side effects. Having the tools and processes in place really does save you time and money. It allows you to focus on running, growing, or optimizing your property management company, whatever you kind of envisioned when you started out on this path of your property management business. It's about spending less time in accounting so you can spend more time on your company. The final point I'd like to make here is that I know every company is different. Every company will have specific needs or requirements, but I assure you, you can all benefit from these techniques. They are easier to set up than most people think. All right, let's dive into these in a few more details. Okay, keep it simple. I know I've mentioned this already early into this talk, and some don't think this is a strategy, but as you can see, I have it as number one. This is where I know you can make the most improvements in the least amount of time. I've done this with many of our clients already. It is the low-hanging fruit, the biggest bang for the buck. Keeping your accounting simple and based on process derived from common sense. The number one thing to understand here is what you have always done may not be required anymore. I like to use the analogy to get this point across. Imagine you have used a team of horses and wagons for years to get your crops from the field to the barn. Then one day you get a brand new flatbed pickup truck. You then spend a whole bunch of time and money to have that pickup modified so the horses can attach to the front of it and tow it around the field. Sounds silly, right? It is understandable that if you have used a process or system for years that is familiar and got the job done, it's hard to imagine a different way of doing things. This is human nature, but new and better ways do exist. And after a couple of days burning around that field in your brand new pickup truck, you'll wonder how you ever did it without it for all those years. Vacation property management has been run on legacy systems for years, like that horse and wagon. They're solid solutions that work, but are outdated, slow, cumbersome, and often hard to make change and keep up with the times. They are full of workarounds in order to get the job done. The era of having to create your own bespoke systems to accomplish accounting is over. It really is. Simplifying your accounting system and adopting a modern process is key and will help not only your accounting, but your entire business. So I just wanted to bring one of our panelists, Joan, in here and ask her, Joan, how important is it keeping the accounting system simple and based on common sense for you? And how has this benefited your company?
Well, it's been incredible. LMPM created a streamlined process for us based on our needs. And I feel accounting doesn't need to be overwhelming or complicated at all. We are not accountants here or CPAs, yet we can understand and trust the process completely. We have a bookkeeper and myself managing the month end and feel confident no balls have been dropped.
Thanks, Joan. LMPM has a fully functioning trust accounting system right out of the box, yet it can be customized to meet any business needs. So this is important that, you know, any size of your company or whatever your situation, you know, everybody thinks that their accounting system is, you know, complicated or unique, and you're right, it usually is, but we can handle it. Setting up a process and a system, regardless of what PMS you use, you can fully benefit from that. So that's great. Thanks again, Joan. My next point here is starting off on the right foot. So as I said, LMPM works right out of the box, yet is highly customizable to address the specific needs and requirements of any company. It can work from 3 to 3,000 properties. It can support any currency. It can support any tax rules or intricacies, any requirement from any regulatory board, any country, state, or county. Another key to running a great accounting system is making sure you are set up correctly from the start. Make sure your I's are dotted or your T's are crossed, or in the case of property management, owner contracts are accurate and taxes are set up correctly, just to name a couple. Once everything is set up, make sure the system is customized exactly to your specific needs or your region or any of the regulations you must follow. Taking the time to get this set up properly makes a transition to a new system easier and less stressful. It makes a huge difference. It sets you up for success and allows all the data to flow correctly right out of the gate. I've seen this so many times that once you get behind in accounting, it's hard to catch up. It's like the post office where the mail, or in this case, journal and transactions, just keep coming and coming. They never stop. So make sure your foundations are in place and you take the time needed to get it set up right for the first time. Imagine building a new house, obviously to rent in vacation property management. You rush the foundation, and after finishing the roof, you need to go back and finish the foundation or redo parts of the foundation, all with guests in your property. Doesn't sound like too much fun. Take the time to figure out how you want to track your revenue and what reporting you need. Now, I've been talking earlier about saving time, but this extra time you put in at the beginning will save you loads of time later. Short-term pain and long-term gain. The final point I'd like to make on this topic is, as good as you are, or as experienced as you are, no matter how much time you take to plan things out at the start, you will always have new ideas or think a better way to do things later on. So I'll say this: not only should customization be able to be done at onboarding or setup, but you should be able to expand, customize, enhance the way you do things continually as needed. As you settle in, you may want to continue to find ways that work better for your business, whether it be you want to increase your efficiency, grow your company, or maybe you expand and your requirements or regulations you have to follow change. Your PMS system needs to be easily adaptable. You need to adapt to your accounting. You need to have a property management system that allows you to grow your business, one that helps support you, not restricts and locks you into the restrictive process. I wanted to ask Anne how important it was for you to be able to customize the accounting system to fit your needs. And have you found this, or how you found this so far with LMPM?
Sure, yeah, it was absolutely vital that we were able to use our own chart of accounts and load that into the system. LMPM does come with a very good, solid, basic chart of accounts for those who maybe don't have a lot of properties or just getting started and they just need that basic guidance. But everyone at Scenic Stays had come from an extensive 20-year plus background in the business, and we had an established chart of accounts that we wanted to use in a way that we wanted to see our financials. So to be able to set that up was very important, and it's easy in LMPM. You go to the settings and you go to accounting and you set up your chart of accounts and you get them, make sure that they're flowing to where they need to go, and you can change them. I mean, I'm adding accounts on a regular basis as we add services and things that we do for our guests and our owners. Also the tax, Clint mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I mean, that we have some vacation properties in an area where we have 3 different taxing authorities that we're paying. So we're able to set up every tax properly so that we can account for it and make sure we get it paid to the right entity. And complete our sales tax forms and tourist tax forms and city tax. So it's been very, very good to work with.
Thanks, Anne. Getting the system set up properly from the start sets you on a path to success, and having a system that allows you to grow and evolve your business keeps you successful. All right. The right tools with the right process. There is no better part of a property management company to systemize than accounting. I'm a huge advocate of process and systems, and I think I drive everyone crazy here at LMPM because every time anything comes up, I try to figure out how we can systemize it and make a process for it. So accounting is no different. And in fact, accounting is probably, in my opinion, the best part of a company to systemize because it's repetitive, it's predictive. And the most complex part of it is the high number of transactions. It's the perfect storm to combine tools with a process. If you think about it, it's extremely simple. All you have to do is allocate all of the money and transactions to the right place or a right account, and then make sure you can accurately account for any of it at any time. Sounds pretty simple, right? Tools alone are not that much help if they do not work as part of a greater process, or else you spend all your time filling in the gap. And I believe that's the part on that first poll question. You know, a lot of these systems they become laborious and time consuming. Really, they don't need to be, and there's lots of ways that we can work on that and make it less laborsome. Unfortunately, almost every property management system out there today has accounting as a module or an add-on or an afterthought. The correct way to build out a PMS is from the accounting out. Everything starts with accounting and builds around that. Think about the difference. How can an add-on or afterthought really seamlessly handle the sometimes thousands of transactions that occur every day? Transactions are like roots through the entire system. One booking can touch a guest, an owner, a vendor, a tax agency, an OTA, and most importantly, you. All of this while keeping accurate advance deposit records, sometimes for months. Let's take a look at month-end processing. This was on Sean's second poll, was the area where most people were interested in improving. If your system is set up from the accounting out, every reservation, every fee, every OTA commission, every guest payment is already accounted for. Every owner charge is auto allocated to the statement in one step. You just have to add the invoice or bill. Every integrated OTA booking already has all of the correct amounts allocated. Literally, this makes processing month-end fast and accurate. Every person in your company is advertently and safely will be doing accounting or bookkeeping for you. And that really is a huge key to this whole system. With the right process and the right tools, everybody from even your OTAs to your front desk staff to your maintenance people, by just them doing their jobs, they can inadvertently become a huge part of the entire accounting system for you. So I'm just going to go over and show you some things here in real time. We're going to take a look at the processing and how fast and easy it can be. So we have our demo company here. And at the end of the month, this is June, I'm just going to use this as a demo. At the end of the month, because all the reservation data is already in there and you've entered all the charges and bills that come in for the owners as they come in, all you have to do is reprocess. What this is doing, it's going through every property item, it's going through every fee, it's going through every product, every bill, and every single statement is being generated automatically on the fly. Now, just a couple things to note here. What we do here is, because everyone processes at the same time, we've come up with some really cool ways to kind of take the actual processing and in layman terms, move it over here, process it over here, and then move it back to the main server once it's done. Why we do this is we don't want a big slowdown at the end of the month where everybody's system is chugging along. It doesn't make any difference. We can use as much additional processing power over here for the processing. We can also add any type of product or anything. You can sell, we have people selling sweaters and fire logs, or in Florida, maybe you're renting beach chairs and adding on a snorkel trip in, you know, Colorado or Whistler or something like that. You can sell ski tickets. All that is just added. You set it up, you add it, your reservation team adds it, your website, and it just processes at the end of the month. Gives you a nice little summary here. It shows you any of the errors or logs that have occurred, and you can just click on these and address them as needed. And then it breaks everything down for you to your gross property revenue, your gross fee revenue, all the key things that clients like Joan and Ann have helped contribute on the valuable information they need. Next, we have the revenue expenses, and I'll show you a couple of real examples. This is our demo company, so it's not as expanded out as much. We have all the taxes broken down, all the vendor totals, and every single statement is generated. And you saw that. That took 2 or 3 seconds. Larger companies for Ann, such as Ann's, may take a little longer. It may take maybe 6 to 10 seconds, but it's really, really quick overall. So all the owners can have single properties, or we can set up an owner to have multiple properties. There's all sorts of ways. And you may even notice that, you know, people point out, well, wait, this guy has no owner, or sorry, no properties. That's because maybe they were an owner that used to own a property. Maybe they have a balance. You know, there's all sorts of things. It's really configurable, and you can do whatever you need. So this is some real value here. You can see with this company, which happens to be Ann's, she has really, and Ann mentioned earlier that she really likes to break out these expenses. So you can see there's loads of expenses. It tracks all the expenses. And this is all just processed in that, you know, 3 to 10 seconds. All the revenue. Down here, we have all the tax agencies are broken out. And the key about this is your summary that you processed during June. And if we go to tax reports, I can get a detailed line-by-line item that comprises this exact amount. And we also have accounts payable that will show you how much you need to pay to each tax agency so you can pay them. Travel agents are all here as well. So the exact same format, we can have a line-by-line detail of exactly what comprises this number, so you can make sure booking.com is not, you know, overcharging you or what have you. And then we have the vendors. These are all the vendors that were used during this month, and you can see each one. We can have, you know, receivables and payables for each vendor. So this is the totals that they have for each month. We'll look at a slightly different example here, where this is Joan's company, and Joan's on this call because she is literally one of the most efficient and organized property managers I know. And you can see everything she does is very simple and precise and gets exactly what she needs out of the system. So she is a little bit more simplification, but still very robust. And, you know, her taxes are all here, and, you know, everything is very, very clear on that month-end processing. So I was just going to pass this back over to Joan and ask her, Joan, how fast is the month processing for you, and how important is this speed and efficiency, and why?
Well, that's a great question. We're able to get our month in processing easily done in 1 day, actually less than 1 day. We have a mini checklist of our own procedures, just to simplify and make sure that anybody could really do it. Myself, my bookkeeper, or anybody who needed to. LMPM has improved the process of checks and balances, along with the bulk owner payments. So I'm able to look at the detail and match it up with the summary and be happy with that. That's important to me. Everything is quick because all the expenses and charges are already in the system. And our owners can log in to see their results the same day, which for us is the last day of the month.
So basically on the last day of the month, you press the process button, you do a bit of reviewing, spend less than a day, and then finalize the month end. So by doing this, throughout the month, all you're really doing is taking reservations normally and making sure owner expenses are added as they come in.
That's it. Yes.
Cool. Well, you have it from Joan. If I said that, I think it's a lot more valuable from Joan, that it really is that simple. And, you know, LMPM can't take all the credit. It is a huge propellant of that, but it's also my point on having a process and having the checklists and having the tools and the system that allows that. Joan has come in and in a few short months devised this process that on the end of the month, she processes, it's done. The owners get paid, get their statements all on the last day of the month. So thank you for answering that question, Joan. Oh, sorry here. All right, next I want to talk about a very important part of all this is leveraging technology. So I'm sure everyone on this call watches the news or finds out what's going on in the world. It's 2021. Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos are flying rockets and spaceships through the stratosphere. The future is here, and the future brings innovation. Innovation saves you time and money. Most people do not know how much technology can change or improve their lives until they try it. And usually, you know, technology is a bittersweet thing because there's always that little bit of awkward part when a new technology first comes out. But once they settle in, they just sort of forget about it and becomes part of their lives. Like I'm sure many people on this call remember an era where there was no cell phones, but now most people can't get on without their smartphones or even their computers, or even this video technology. Probably, you know, maybe 5 years ago, we wouldn't be doing this, you know, definitely 10 years ago, we wouldn't be able to do this type of webinar. So it's often, with them being new, it's often hard to see the benefits, but they are there, and finding a truly technologically first property management system will future-proof your business and keep you at the front of the pack in this ever-growing industry. The sooner you start, the bigger the head start you get over your competitors. But this is really about one thing. This technology and adopting these new systems allows you to focus on your properties and your guest experience, because that's a lot more fun. It's going to give you a lot more value than wasting all your time fiddling with boring and frustrating accounting. So let's cover some of the key technologies that are making a huge difference today in property management. There are lots, but I'll just focus on a few. LMPM is leveraged for their clients. The first one is fully integrated credit card processing. Now, this one is really huge. It does not make sense anymore to pay someone or spend your time entering credit card deposits and fees when they can be automatically entered with each transaction in real time. Even the payouts are automated. So I can take a payment for a guest and in real time, look how much my fees were for this particular guest, how much I will be getting after the fees are deducted. It's all right there in real time. You can see it in summary, or you can see it on an individual transaction. Next one is fully integrated channels. So the financial information and accounting data is correctly allocated every time an OTA books one of your properties. This will match exactly the data on the channel, removing the need to update or enter booking information such as commissions, fees, or a big one is removing taxes collected and remitted by Airbnb automatically. Everything is automated, including the payouts. And the big one about this is just sometimes companies focus on the technology, but it's really looking at what the property manager needs. No one cares that you can do this technology. They want to see how this can affect them. So we really try to focus on our clients and what their feedback is. And things like that Airbnb tax, people don't want to worry about it. They want it to just work. So technology is capable of handling all that stuff. Next one is tax reporting. Tax reporting is huge. Having your tax remittance done for you each month, making the tax remittance fast and easy. This goes back to what I said earlier about the setup. If you set up all your taxes, all the rules correctly, the system will know what to do. You always will. And one thing a lot of people say with this automation, you know, what if it doesn't work exactly how I need, or I need to make an adjustment? You'll always have the ability to put in an override of anything or adjust anything as you need it. Next and final one I just wanted to go over is reconciliation. Having a modern and advanced, easy to use reconciliation system allows you to not only reconcile bank statements, but any account you need. And this is especially important for a company like Scenic Stays, because this was one of Anne's suggestions, that she wanted to be able to Anne loves reconciling like me. We could reconcile all day, right, Anne? So we've added the capability to reconcile more accounts, not just the bank. And this keeps Anne happy that everything is working and all the money is accounted for. So, Anne, do you want to tell us a little bit about how technology has helped Scenic Stays, like things like the credit card processing and say a Verbo integration?
Sure. It's been very, very good for me. As Clint mentioned, I don't actually love reconciling, but I love to see that everything reconciles and that we're recording everything correctly. So start with the reservation itself. As Clint showed in his slide, it allocates even the prepaid credit card fees so that we can expense those at the proper time so that it matches our revenue. That's all automatic. It pulls that reservation, puts it to the right accounts. The Stripe, we happen to use Stripe right now for our credit card processor. And I spot checked it a lot at the beginning to make sure that it was running properly. And it was always spot on. So that made me very comfortable with the system. The OTAs, again, that all flows so that all I have to do is look and see what's due to the OTA. And of course I want to reconcile it and make sure that agrees with, you know, with the booking.com and the HomeAway and Airbnb. So, so I've spent a lot of time doing that, and it does reconcile. So as Clint mentioned, we've just recently added, LMPM just recently added the ability to reconcile more than just the bank accounts. And a big one was Airbnb for us. It has saved me hours and hours and hours of time having that feature. So I'm very happy with it.
Great, thank you, Anne. And Anne and I are going to disagree. I think Anne does love reconciling, but all right. Thanks again, Anne, for that. Now, the final part of we're getting kind of the end here, so I'll try to keep this moving along. This is one of the most important things. Everything I talked about here, one of the most important thing is when you're working with a property management system. It is a tool. It is part of your business. It's not everything, but it's really, really important to choose a property management system that can offer you great support. And even more important than support, you have to have knowledgeable people working and providing that support. If you have knowledgeable people, they can really understand your needs and help you get set up properly. So many people fear accounting and loathe the words trust accounting. Having support systems in place to get you on your way is the most important part of this entire process. Vacation property management trust accounting is very unique and specific to the industry. We have invested heavily in the internal knowledge, not only to build a great trust accounting system, but to also be able to properly give you the support and help needed to get this set up. My philosophy is getting a property management set up right in the beginning results in less support. And yes, that's maybe a little bit selfish that we have to provide less support, but it also makes the property managers a lot happier when they don't have all this need for support. But when we do need to give support, it has to be very helpful and knowledgeable. So I want to just ask Anne how she found the level of accounting knowledge with the people she's been working with at LMPM.
It's been very helpful. As I mentioned at the beginning, I come from a CPA background ages ago. And so I'm very focused on making sure that the accounting is flowing properly. And so I can come up with some pretty good questions for the team at LMPM, and they take the time to dig in, and they understand what it is that I'm asking, and we can work to see what the best way is to report something, or they can just show me the features that LMPM has and how to best utilize that to get the information that I need.
Cool, thank you. We don't want to leave Joan out here, so I'll ask Joan one final question. Joan, can you tell us a little bit about how you found the process of setting up your company accounting with LMPM?
Sure. I'm a real estate broker, so I can't commingle money, as probably many of the people listening are. So trust accounting is something to me that may not be to somebody else. So having previous experience, I knew what I wanted in accounting, and LMPM accommodated us right away because they spoke the same language. They knew what I needed. This was the number one concern for me when I was coming on board. And their personal attention is the prime reason why we're using LMPM. And I think that if you already know what you want, that's great. If you need a little help and some guidance from LMPM, they certainly have the expertise and patience right from the start to help you.
Thanks, Joan. All right, so I'll just close with this, and then we'll open it up to looking at some questions and answering them from the audience. So LMPM is more than a property management system. It's more than a collection of tools bundled together to manage your properties. It is the process, the systems, and knowledge you need to run your business. LMPM is the future of vacation property management. So I just wanted to thank you before we get into the questions for everyone who is signed up and watching this. We really appreciate it, and it is a pleasure and an honor to have your attention for this presentation. So I think we're going to answer some questions, and can maybe get Sarah to help with this a little bit.
Yes, so we have about 10 minutes left. If you have any questions for any of the panelists, you can use that Q&A tab that you'll see at the bottom of your Zoom panel. You can also use that chat feature as well. And then Clint, it looks like we have some questions coming in. Would you like me to read those, or would you guys like to go through those?
No, I'll read them here.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so we have a question here. What happens when the channels have updates? That is a really great question, and I'm laughing because it's a common thing that occurs. So the channels are a really key thing here, and I'll just spend a little bit of time on this. What LMPM does, because LMPM is a modern system, and as Sean pointed out, LMPM released its beta in 2016. We didn't go commercial to 2020, 4 years of beta, and we had about 3 or 4 years in development before that. Because we're a property management system first, technology first, we did things a little differently. One of the things, okay, so when to change your data, but one of the things we did is we created a bespoke connection to each OTA we're connected to. So why we did this took way more time and way more effort, but what it gives is better results. So every time, like, you know, Airbnb changes something, or if they change their data. Airbnb, I think the question was when they change their data. So if a client books something on Vrbo, and then they change the data. With Vrbo, for instance, once the booking's inserted, you make all the changes on LMPM and it syncs back to VRBO. The same with Airbnb. Airbnb, you used to have to go to Airbnb to make all changes, but now Airbnb's released new endpoints and new technology, which we're currently upgrading right now to allow the changes to be made on LMPM, and they push back to the channel. Does that answer your question?
They can't talk, Clint, but there's another,
Okay, perfect.
there's a question in the chat about QuickBooks Online integration and how we handle kind of the bridge between trust accounting and corporate accounting systems.
Okay, so this one is another great question. So how does LMPM software compare to owners reservation software with integration for QuickBooks Online? Well, to really have a proper corporate accounting and trust accounting system, it needs to be really understood what each piece does and execute it like that. We had in our development roadmap for quite a while and a direct integration with QuickBooks. We've taken that off because it really is not needed. The trust accounting system in LMPM runs completely independent with one set of transactions each month that you put in your operational. All of the owner information, all the owner payments, all the owner logs, accounts, statements, statement items, current balances, payments is all handled and looked after in LMPM. So you really don't need a integration with QuickBooks. We could ask Joan or Ann if you had any comments about, do you think an integration with your accounting software is helpful, or is it really as easy, I'm saying, where there's just one group of transactions you put in at the end of the month?
Yeah, I can speak to that because in our old system, we did have integration with QuickBooks completely, but that is a one-way system with the Web Connect. So any information that you have to change in QuickBooks afterwards, or changed in LMPM, you would have to change in QuickBooks if you were just using that kind of an integration. But with LMPM, everything's done right there live. No need to worry about changing accounting.
Cool. Okay, thank you. We have another question, just a little bit about, okay, so how do you develop monthly property owner statements to be sure all accounts balance? Okay, so this goes back to just the process we have and how, if you set up that process, and Joe mentioned some checks and balances, and I know Ann has, her checklist every month. They're both a little bit different just due to the size, location, and things like that. But first of all, once you set up a owner contract with the proper rules, usually in the first month, the first process, and we always review all that in quite a bit of detail. As Ann pointed out, she spot checks a lot of things. But once you have everything set up, you can be confident after several spot checks, and you see it really does work, that all the reservation data just flows properly. When you add in the bills and all that stuff, the charges for your owners every month, you can see, reports by owner, you can review all the statements. So, the question here is, once you get the systems, you just start to know that things are flowing. And if you see something's off, you don't fix the problem, you go back and fix the source so it's correctly done next time, and you fix problems on a permanent basis. I don't know if either Ann or Joan had comments. How do you feel confident that your owner statements and account balances are correct each month?
Sure, this is Ann. I'll take this one. That it goes back to, there's always the human factor as well. So as charges are being entered on the owner statements, I mean, you need to have a process in place with your company that the person that is responsible for the property, the property manager for each of your properties, needs to review the statements. before they're before you hit that close button, because you've got the time where you hit the process button, and then you have you can review all of your owner statements, and then you hit the close button. But everything does flow there. Of course, people are going to make mistakes with input when they're putting in the bills. That could be an area. So you need to, you know, if you mowed the lawn and one of your team accidentally put the lawn mowing bill in twice, you know, you've got to pull that out. That's the human factor, and LMPM can't catch the human factor there. But that's a process. And as long as you've got that process in place for someone to review, as far as the things that we talked about earlier, the actual reservations, the fees, all of that flows automatically. So that's there on the owner statement for you.
Yeah, and I'll add one thing. I actually worked with Anne on this a lot. As her, and Anne mentioned, when she came on in October, I think she had like around 40 units, and by March she had close to 300. So there was heavy growth, and there was the huge human factor. They were hiring a lot of staff, they were taking on new properties and all that kind of stuff. Anne and I worked together quite a bit, where we would, when we do a month end, we would have these and it's all process. We would follow the process. We would look at OTA bookings, because they were, you know, coming in 10 times more than they were 2 months ago. You know, we were looking at the bills and charges to the owners, and they were coming in 10, 20 times more than they were at the beginning. So we devised methods that we would go through and find patterns. It's all process, it's all patterns. Yes, human factor. Yes, there's always these opportunities. All LMPM can do is to help find those things. And we've come up with several little mini reports that, to me, I'm very pattern based. That's why I guess I'm good at accounting, or interested in accounting. You scan stuff and you look for anomalies because of the patterns are different. And by just doing those simple things, you can really find almost all the errors before they occur. And you start to see, you know, once you kind of set it up, LMPM is really set up for a process and a setup flow. So an error happens, it's most likely, and I think Anne can confirm this, most errors were setup issues that we corrected and then they stopped happening. And secondarily, it's just human errors, which with proper training and putting a little bit more process around their jobs solved most of those. Great, that was another great question. So I know we're getting close on time. We just have one more quick question about showing the reports. You know, there's reports is probably the area that's growing the most in LMPM. Reports, there's all sorts of graphical reports that are getting added. We have a philosophy, or I have a philosophy, is that I don't add anything in the system unless someone needs it. I don't try to think I know everything about property management and say, hey, Anne's going to need these reports. Anne is telling me the reports she needs, and those are the ones I'm working on. Joan is telling me the reports that she needs, and those are the ones we're working on. We have a great best industry API. So we're working with a company right now that wants to utilize all sorts of weird things with Expensify and sucking out their data for their own purposes. We have an incredible export system where you can custom create any type of report and download it and view it in CSV or spreadsheets. And we're really adding more and more of the reports that, you know, folks like Anne and Joan need regularly. So just due to time constraints, I won't go into a demo on that, but I hope that answers your question. All right, I think we're at 11 o'clock, Sarah, and I think we can wrap this up. I'll just thank everyone one more time. It really is a pleasure, and I really enjoyed this talk. And if anyone has any deeper questions or would like to see a little bit more of this, you know, than I could show in 30 minutes, I'd be happy to do a one-on-one demo or a one-on-one talk. I'm always available for this stuff. And I actually do like talking about accounting and process and some ways to help your business. So thanks, everybody. And I'll pass this over to you, Sean.
Yep. Again, thanks everyone, Clint, Joan, and really appreciate it. And thanks for everybody for coming on the webinar. We're going to be at every industry event you can think of, so come and see us. Come to lmpm.com, book a demo, or feel free to email me directly, and let's have a chat and show you around and see if our tools are, could benefit your business. So with that, everyone have a great day, and we hope to speak with you soon.